The author found a roll-top desk in a junk shop. He had always wanted a roll-top desk. The man at the shop was selling it for very little money. The author bought the desk. The author decided to repair the desk. He started working on it on Christmas Eve. He pulled out the drawers. The last drawer had a secret drawer inside it. The author pulled out the secret drawer. There was a small black tin box. The tin box contained an envelope with a letter inside it. The author opened the envelope and started reading it. The letter was from Jim McPherson. It was written to Mrs. Connie Jim McPherson. The letter had been written on 26 December 1914. The letter was written at a time when Jim was sent as a soldier to the war. The Germans and the English were at war with each other. Jim wrote that on Christmas morning the Germans waved a white flag. Then they shouted Happy Christmas. Some soldiers from Jim's side also replied. Soldiers from both sides agreed to spend Christmas together. There, Jim met a German soldier called Hans Wolf. Hans Wolf was from Dusseldorf. Hans used to play cello in an orchestra before he became a soldier. Jim introduced himself and told Hans that he was a school teacher in England before becoming a soldier. Jim and Hans started talking. Hans spoke perfect English, but he had never visited England. He knew all about England from school and the books he read in English. They talked about their favorite books and families. Jim and Hans shared their Christmas cake, drinks, and food. Jim wrote that they agreed on everything, even though Hans was his enemy in the war. Jim wrote that on that day, the British and German soldiers were laughing, talking, drinking, and eating together. Some soldiers played football. Others clapped and cheered. Hans suggested that the war should be solved by a football match. At the end of the letter, Jim wrote that by the next Christmas, the war would become a memory. He knew that soldiers from both sides hated war. He was sure that he would be back soon. The author could not sleep all night. The next morning, the author decided to go to Bridport to meet Mrs. Macpherson. When the author reached Bridport, he found out that Mrs. Macpherson's house had burnt down in a fire. A neighbor told him that Mrs. Macpherson was 101 years old then. Mrs. Macpherson was inside the house when it caught fire. She had been saved by a fireman. She was then in a nursing home on the other side of town. The author reached the nursing home. He was taken to a room where Connie was sitting on a wheelchair. The author wished Happy Christmas to her and showed her the letter. Connie saw the letter and there was happiness on her face. She thought Jim, her husband, returned. She said she had got the best Christmas present ever.
To read this chapter, click here on your Read to Me Student Edition app. Download your English textbook and practice your reading.